What's up out there? We are back in Path of Exile 1. I love PoE 2. I think it's going to be a phenomenal game. It is definitely in early access. I mean, there's no doubt about that. The game plays perfectly fine. There's no issues technically. There's no server issues. I have no complaints about any of that. It's more of game direction and where builds are going and things like that. I have a feeling that they're going to nerf, buff. They're going to change a lot of things, and playing it too much now would probably burn me out on it. I'm not having fun playing some of the stuff that I have been playing, so I ended up playing some other things. Grim Dawn, Escape from Tarkov's got a new wipe, and then I've came back and played a little bit more of PoE 1. So where I left PoE 1 off at was, for this league, I wanted to try out one build with each ascendancy, and I've tried most of the ascendancies, not necessarily every one. I'm working on a Hierophant right now. That's what we're looking at. But I have a slightly different concept of the whole idea that I had for this league. And now I'm interested in doing this. So this is probably what I'm going to be going forward with for the rest of this league and maybe into next league. I'm not sure. We'll see where things go. But the new concept is not to just try one ascendant or each ascendancy out. Like, I went through and I tried finding different skills for each ascendancy and things like that, different gear, all of that kind of thing. This time, I think I want to focus on one skill and take that skill on each of the different ascendancies and see how it works. So at first I thought about, process of elimination. What don't I want to do? So probably slam skills, strike skills, things like that. Things that are physical based, not necessarily physical based spells, but things that are reliant on heavy strength and things like that probably won't work well on witches and stuff in that realm because there's more int and everything. So I thought, well, what would be something that I could use that would fit pretty much every ascendancy? And I kind of got thinking about spells. Things like spells would probably be good. My usual go-to spell is going to be Exsanguinate. I like that. I like the spell itself. I think it's a cool spell. But then I thought, I don't know. I think Exsanguinate's probably ran its course for me over the time that I've tried it. I like it as a skill. I just don't think it's got all the staying power that I'm looking for. It's good up to a point. It's a life-based skill, so you have to have the regeneration and everything. So it's probably not going to be, it's a consideration for sure, or it was considered, but it's not going to be the skill that I go forward with. So it got me to thinking, what I probably want to do is something that's elemental based. I've tried poison bows and things like that, or chaos damage, and I don't really gel with chaos. I've not figured out how to stack it all that well. But that got me to thinking I probably want to pick something on the elemental side. Fire would probably be good because you can go into the chieftain fairly easily. But then I thought, maybe I want to do something with cold or lightning. And I think I'm winding down on cold. I'm probably going to be doing Ice Nova. I might there's Shock Nova. I may look at doing that. But I think Ice Nova is pretty cool. And what I'm doing with this one here, if I go into this, where do I have my Ice Nova at? So I've got this wand that I can equip now, which gives me Arcane Surge, Spell Echo, and Controlled Destruction. So it's like having a 6-link. They're limited by certain levels, but you also get +2 level of Socketed Gems, so that helps out too. So this is basically running around the 6-link, but Ice Nova with Combustion of all things and Elemental Proliferation is actually pretty cool. You can get ignites off of cold damage, which seems bizarre, but here we are. So this has the Combustion support gives you a 25% chance to ignite. You also get a +20% chance to freeze, shock, and ignite from Elemental Proliferation support. And then if I go into Ice Nova, you'll see that I've got a 70% chance to ignite. That is because I picked up somewhere on the passive tree over here with chance to ignite, freeze, and shock. I get another 15% to it. So I'm kind of stacking a little bit. This is going to be a Hierophant. I tried to do my Ascendancy last night and I died at the last second, so we'll come back to that one here in a bit. But on this one, I'm trying to do a little bit more with shields, and this Centauri's answer seems kind of cool. you could throw out some curses when you block stuff. So I don't know. Well, I'm going to try that out. This isn't like mandatory to the build or anything. I happen to have these uniques. I'm leveling it up and it seems like they fit. But I think that's what I want to do with this is try out Ice Nova on all of the different ascendancies. Now, instead of doing all of the different ascendancies, I think what I want to do at first is the different classes. That's much easier to hit all the different classes up than it is to try to go through all the ascendancies. So I think what I'm going to do is start off with what I have done is started off with a Templar. He's going to be a Hierophant because I have not built a Hierophant this league yet. So that's what he is going to be. The next one, we're just going to spin right around the wheel here. The next one's going to be a Witch. Then I'll do a Shadow. Then I'll do a Ranger. Then we've got Duelist and Marauder. And I'm not exactly sure what ascendancy I'm going to pick for all of these, but I want to do all the different classes first and then pick one ascendancy. Probably like on the Ranger, I may do Pathfinder because I haven't done that yet. I'll probably do something that's fitting on the Shadow side. I've got something started with all of the different witches, but I'll try to pick something on this that makes sense to go with. We may do wands, we may do staves, we may do a lot of other things. The nice thing about taking this is this does not specify a weapon. So we could do things like maces if we want, or axes. I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know if it's going to work at all, but this does not specify that you have to use a wand or a staff or anything like that. There's nothing specified. So it's wide open. And I think that's another thing that I like about it is it's not bound to a specific type of weapon. Like certain skills you might use are tied to wands. Certain ones are tied to staff. Certain ones are tied to a mace or an axe or something like that, or certain melee weapons. So I think this Ice Nova will work well because it's not necessarily tied to anything. It's more freeform, and a lot of the other stuff that I'm using, like Frost Bomb, this does not specify using a specific kind of weapon. Now, obviously, I'm probably going to want wands and things like that, and the weapon choice is probably going to make considerable effect on it, whether you get increased spell damage or things like that. Remains to be seen, but those are the hurdles that are going to have to be solved by trying each of the different classes out. Not so much with the ascendancies, but the classes. So I'm going to try to take each of the different classes through the campaign and beat the campaign. We're not trying to get to level 80 or spend a ton of time on it. It's going to take probably 10 hours to get each one through. So if I was to fully commit to this, there's what, six different classes out here, minus the Scion. I don't know if I want to do the Scion or not. But with 6 of them, that's 60 hours, 60-ish, 70 hours, somewhere in that neighborhood to get them all through. I could foreseeably do that in the month of January, and I think that's probably what I'm going to be trying to do throughout January as we play forward with, or as I go forward with Path of Exile. Unless something drastic changes with Path of Exile 2, unless they do some big major balance patch or change things considerably, this is probably what I'm going to work on in the Path of Exile world until we get our next wipe. And then after all of this, I'm going to try to figure out what I want to play for next wipe. Probably going to be something along the same lines of just picking a class and an ascendancy and running through and just seeing what I can build out of it. But anyway, this is the plan, is to take one skill per class, per ascendancy, however it's going to end up, but per class for the moment, and take it through and see what I can do with them and see where the pitfalls are and how they play and how they can be built with some weird stuff. But anyway, that's going to do it for this video. We will catch you on the next one. Take care.